Welcome back, tribe. Got an episode here from Sex, Love, and Soul. Why nice guys see sex workers. Let's get into it.
By doing other activities. And yeah, that works for a while, but then a woman does definitely get bored with that because she wants to be penetrated by you. The nice guy gets trapped in romances that have reverted to friendship. They try to convince themselves that it's enough, and it's not. Hello, and welcome to Sex, Love, and Soul. I'm Mary Knight, and I'm really glad you're here. So today I'm going to address something. Some of you may be wondering, how do I know so much about nice guys? Yeah, sure. I'm a relationship coach. I'm a dating coach. I have been for the past 15 years.
Got a ton of fucking plants, dude. Jeez.
I started as a relationship coach before I retired as a sex worker. If you haven't.
Oh, shit. Now you know she knows what she's talking about. Let's go. Finally. You'll never get better game than from a prostitute. I'm telling you guys. Even Tupac said it. Got my game from pimps and prostitutes. They know, bro, the real. Here we go.
I haven't seen that in my About Me. I am a retired high-end escort, and I was also the madam of a really popular brothel in a big city in Texas. And most of the men who were clients, I would say like 98% of them, were nice guys. Yeah, shocker, right? These men thought that it was easier to just pay for companionship, pay for this intimacy, than to go out in the real world and continue to be eaten alive by women who were out there who were pretty much just after their money. Or just in general, just
Simps being preyed on. You'll get a guy that has no experience with women, goes through the whole college stick, graduates, gets a nice job, has no success with women still. Finally, a woman comes around as she's aging out around 30-something, gives him attention. Guy thinks he's the luckiest man in the world. He's being settled for and predated on because he's an easy wallet that could be manipulated with no effort whatsoever. Ta-da! You have these relationships where these guys are getting absolutely destroyed and they're going like, women are using me. Red pill moment happens, or they just go, fuck this, dude. I'd rather pay for it because I don't know what I'm doing, and the kinds of women I'm attracting are the ones that see me as a simp or don't respect me. Most likely because they're focusing on other shit like how to make money, how to get ahead financially. These guys never worked on their body, never worked on their charisma, don't know red flags, none of that shit. So they're getting steamrolled by women. And that is an understatement. Look at the video we did with the husband that was a simp with a gold-digging wife. Yeah.
Tired of being disappointed and not getting what they wanted. And so they knew that if they saw an escort, they would get what they wanted.
Yeah.
No fuss, no muss. I'm not saying that that was right. I'm not condoning that kind of behavior, but I'm also certainly not sitting here judging it. And it's an interesting thing that when I started as a coach, I was coaching women who were married, who were concerned about their husbands cheating. And
it's the same shit. I wonder if she gets into it. The woman becomes a nagging toad. She stops taking care of herself. She's questioning the decisions of her husband, everything. She nags him about every little thing. She becomes a nuisance in his mind. Another battle to be had when he gets home. He feels like he has a roommate. Sex dries up once the respect dries up. Then he starts to go seeking it in other women. The feeling alive again, the emotional support he used to get, the emotional acknowledgement, those back scratches, those rubs, the falling asleep in her lap, all that shit's gone. It's disappeared. She doesn't baby you in that sense anymore. And babying is what we call it. But every man likes to feel like he's being taken care of by his woman. That shit disappears in marriages because women forget their place. Women lose out on the respect of their husband because they become content and no longer appreciate how much they've leveled up having that man in their life. It's really easy to become discontent with all the hard work of your husband when you didn't work hard for it yourself. You no longer appreciate all the niceties that you get to enjoy because life becomes numb and comfortable because your husband made it that way for you. But through that comfort grows this disconnect of no longer appreciating the hard shit your husband does to get you in this comfortable position. Here we go, bro.
I actually wrote a best-selling book. It's available on Amazon called How to Keep Your Man Out of My Bed. It's teaching women why men cheat and how to prevent it from happening to them in an empowered way. Because the reasons that men cheat are not what most people think. I started working for this escort service in Houston, and this was in the late 90s. She was like a mid-range madam. And then I learned, oh, wow, I could be high end. And so then I started working for another escort service in Houston that was a high end escort service. And then I started having my own place. And then I became an international traveling companion. But I'm saying all this just to let you know my trajectory here of how this all went was that I would learn that for many of these men, sex was just the excuse. Sex was the pretense for why they reached out. No, of course, that was true of some men. Some men just really liked having sex. They really...
Yeah, but the majority of them are seeking the companionship, the emotional connection.
Craved that sexual variety, whether they were married or not. But most of the men were these really nice guys who were looking for someone to talk to. They were looking for companionship.
And that's what I really learned about.
Same exact shit at strip clubs. Guys go in there married all the time, and the strippers will tell you most of them just want to talk. They'll even go into the private room. Some of them won't get dances at all. They just want to vomit their day. They'll even tell the strippers how much they love their wives and their kids, but they're craving the emotional connection that does not exist. And that's where all this stems from.
Orgasming and you know, for men and women. But, you know, for me, that's how I could actually have orgasms with my clients, was because I insisted that I stay in my own body. I wouldn't let myself float away. I would stay in the present moment. And the men could tell. And that's why I was popular and why I had so much repeat clientele, is because they really could feel that I was there with them. That's what I was teaching men to do, is to be in their body.
They were having this problem at home with a woman who had pulled away from them, and they did their old tried and true method of going right into their heads. So they were not in their bodies. But the thing was, this was not a head problem. This was not a problem that could be solved by thinking. The whole problem was caused because they were not in their bodies. And so this became really apparent to me pretty early on in my escorting career about men not being in their bodies, because I had become this pretty serious meditator. And on a regular basis, I was going to these 10-day silent meditation courses. And the meditation technique was called Vipassana. And I was really into that. And the whole technique of Vipassana is that you observe the sensations in your body and you scan your body from head to toe. And the emphasis is not having thoughts, but rather just observing all the sensations in your body. And you go part by part, piece by piece. And again, the emphasis is on the sensations in your body.
You know, we would do a little bit of breath work. I wasn't into tantra. I don't really know. I mean, I know what that is, but I've never been that kind of sex person. That's that's never really been my thing. But I know about it. But no, it wasn't tantra. It was more about being in the present moment. It was, which I guess is tantra, but it's about being in your body, being with the person.
Let me translate this womanese shit for you guys. What's happening is these men have been trained over years by emotionally disconnected wives to not even be emotionally connected to the experience of having sex. The intimacy dried up completely. It got reduced down to purely a physical act. Imagine trying to have sex with a woman, your wife. 4 years, you're being turned down. 4 years, starfish, zero emotion, zero excitement. And you have to somehow enjoy this. Sex just becomes a physical act to get a nut off, to even maybe feel a little bit of connection to your wife. While she lays there with a stank look on her face while you're doing the pumping. So you just do your job, get it over with. And she just like nastily just looks at you and just gets up, showers, and whatever, the day continues. Imagine that, dude. Years of that shit. So a guy is no longer even emotionally attached to the act. He's just trying to kind of get it over with as soon as possible to not piss his wife off any more than he has to. But also he craves sex and emotional connection. But like clearly she's not enjoying it. So there's a huge like dissonance there that a man has to deal with. And he gets trained to essentially detach completely emotionally and just get the physical act done. And it's no surprise that these men then go to sex workers. What the hell?
That you're with, having the experience that you're having, whether it's awkward, whether it's hot.
All she's doing and what she's saying is that she's there present. She doesn't act like a normal sex worker where her mind just leaves her body and the guy's pumping just like he does with his wife. She's there present, looking him in the eyes, grabbing him, making noises, whatever, gesturing in different ways and making sure he's there present too, because he's trained to like look away, or he's trained to finish really quickly, or all that. No, she puts the person in the present. So the guy feels an actual connection. That's it. That's the sell of this whole thing. It's insane that people get into these positions, dude. Well, hopefully there's probably guys in the comment section right now that are in these exact relationships with this kind of sex with their wives, being trained in this exact fashion. And I guarantee you, they probably already considered paying for it.
Whether it's so, whatever. It's like you're just there when you're available for it. That's what we were doing in sexual situations. And I know a lot of people don't have that experience. It was perfect for me because I wasn't emotionally invested in these relationships that I was having with my clients. So I could be almost this impartial person there, right? I was there. I was available sexually. I was available a tiny bit emotionally, but I was definitely there intellectually for them too. And so it was easy for me to kind of stand back and study this and see them as not as this man that I was in love with and had all this judgment about and needed him to be a certain way. I could set that aside and just observe him as a man, observe him as this beautiful spiritual being, and have this experience with him and have some pretty, actually, very connected sex, or whatever you want to think about that. I know those of you who have seen sex workers, have experience with escorts, you know what I'm talking about. These experiences that you have with this person who is a quote unquote stranger can be transcendent because there's not all the expectation, all those crazy emotions and judgments and, all those things that we put on the people that we love.
I know at the same time that emotional connection that I was not experiencing is what can also make sex really great, right? It can make it terrible or it can make it really great. After a little bit of time, I learned how to take all those embodiment techniques that I learned in meditation, my being present, and I'm always talking to y'all about being in the present moment and all the being in your body stuff that I talk about all the time. I took that from meditation into escorting. And when I did that, I guess I had been escorting like for 2 or 3 months, something like that.
I, at first, just like every other person who is voluntarily a sex worker, I, like everybody else, you get such a thrill and such a charge about the money, how easy it is, how nice the clients are, just how it's like, oh my God, I can just be myself and make money. And you get a big charge out of that. And then, once the excitement, and, of course, in the beginning, there's a little bit of terror involved there too, and a lot of adrenaline. And once you kind of get used to all of that and how bizarre what you're doing actually is, then you start to think, oh God, what am I doing? How can I do this? Why am I doing this? What kind of person am I? This sucks. This is horrible. And then if you decide to stick with it, then you move through that into the other side of that. And this was like 3 months in, because I had seen this guy a couple of times and he was super boring. And so when and he was one of these long appointments, and not long appointments because he wanted to do it a long time, but because he wanted to sit there and talk and talk and talk. And it was always like all this really negative stuff. And he was just a super boring guy. And he was nice, but he was boring. And he was boring because he was negative, and he was boring because he wasn't present. He was just talking at me. And so I would be very checked out. Even during the conversation, I would try to latch onto something I thought was interesting and kind of like go, oh, hey, let's talk about this. But he would always bring it right back around to something horrible that had happened to him. And I don't know, guys, if y'all don't know this, women are not turned on by negative stories and negativity and by you're being a sad sack and feeling sorry for yourself. It's a big turnoff. When the time came for us to go into the bedroom, I would basically leave my body. And so this one time I caught myself, was like, where am I going? If I'm not here in my body, where am I? And why am I leaving my body behind with this stranger? It terrified me and it grossed me out. And so as soon as I had that sensation of, oh my God, I'm in my head, I'm not in my body, I just went, boom, right into my body. And we had what I would classify as decent connected sex. It wasn't great, but I was there in my body and I was able to be with him from one human being to another instead of treating him like some kind of asshole that didn't deserve my time.
Essentially what wives are doing in these dead bedroom scenarios. You see what I mean?
I was like, wow, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to be here and I'm going to be in the present moment. I'm going to be with this guy. That changed my life. And then that is why I'm able to speak with a lot of authority about, hey, y'all, get out of your head and into your body. And that's how I was able to teach women about being orgasmic, becoming orgasmic by getting out of your head and being in your body. And you guys, that's the same thing. Men who are in their heads either cannot even get an erection. If you can, then you have a hard time maintaining it. And then you have no control over it. And then you think that you're going to make it up by doing other activities. And yeah, that works for a while, but then a woman does definitely get bored with that because she wants to be penetrated by you.
Told you.
Unless you are in your body, that can't happen. So there's a lot of benefits to being in your body, right? And just beyond sexual, also just makes you a better partner. Makes you
another tenet there that guys can't really swallow. No matter how good you are with mouth, fingers, whatever, toys, all that shit. At the end of the day, if you're not packing, if it's not good enough, she will get bored and leave your ass. I told you guys this tenet all the time. If you're not handing out the devil D, if you're not busting it down in the sack and leaving her shaking, you are on borrowed time until the boredom kicks in. And it's not just boredom, it's just not being satisfied. How could you be with someone that doesn't satisfy you? No matter how great the person is, if you're not satisfied, it's a matter of time. So I know a lot of dudes can't accept that. And that's one of the things that stems the insecurity of hearing a woman's body count, is because you're going to immediately compare your performance to the potential whatever number of guys she says she's been with. So a chick says 7, 8, 12, 20, doesn't matter, especially if that number is higher than yours and she's got more experience than you in that realm, just in general. So if you've only been with 2 women and one of them was a long-term relationship and the other one took forever to find and get laid and it was a one-time deal, you have almost no experience. Then you meet a chick, you really, really like her, you guys hit it off, and then she says she's been with 12 dudes. Part of the turnoff is going to be the insecurity of how you're going to perform in bed and how could you possibly keep this woman satisfied and not stray. And it's a valid instinct for men to have. It's true. The other part, which, doesn't matter as much today because DNA tests and stuff like that, it's built into us that promiscuous women would be a risk for, the children being yours genetically or not. So that's less of a problem today. But the other problem is just the amount of straying a woman will do, especially in the world today with the options they have. And if you're a man with limited experience, you are really on the chopping block. They can stick around as long as your wallet is fat, but eventually they will check out. And, I have plenty of stories to back that up.
To a better person. Being in your body makes you, being in your body makes you a better father, a better brother, a better citizen of this planet. Anything that deals with other people where they count on your presence, you will become a master at that. Yes.
All right. So we got the gist of what she was doing here. Okay. An escort is cheaper than a cake and a ring. If escorts were legal, these other women wouldn't exist. What the hell? Escorts are the only truly honest women. Oh, man. This guy says cheaper, less risky, more honest, efficient. The bottom line is it's cheaper and no stupid games. I lost the equivalent of 1 million USD in the divorce. For the amount of money the divorce cost, I could have easily had an escort for a few hours several times a week. Sheesh. We see sex workers because we're smart enough not to get into taxing relationships. Damn. Money, energy, attention, time. All men pay. You can either pay on the front end or you can pay dearly on the back end. I was married 54 years and she passed away in November of 2023 from complications of Alzheimer's. I have 3 grown children and grandchildren, and the last few years were not good for obvious reasons. I did my sworn duty, but I was not happy, and now I'm too old for the marketplace, but I'm going to seek a partner just the same until the light goes out because I love women. Horny old man. Get after it. Men go to escorts not because they're nice guys, but because they want to have a choice. It's not. They have no choice. That's why they go. Because women don't respect them. Menopause is the final trap for the considerate, faithful, monogamous husband. Yeesh. Thoughts on this topic, guys? This one's a very interesting one. Let me know in the comments below. Hit the like button, subscribe, all that stuff. And sign up for the second channel in the private community. If you haven't, subscribe for free. Check out some of those videos. See if you like it. Love to have you on some of the calls. And take care of yourselves, everybody. Interested to see the comments on this video. We'll see you next time.